Welcome to the Influencer Show with your host, Trishawn Ben Salmi.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Influencer Show where I interview people who can help influence the way you live life in a number of ways. I'm your host, C7, and today we have a very special guest with us, Edward Zia. So if you'd like to introduce yourself to listeners and let them know a little bit about you.
Sean, it's a pleasure. I just want to say thank you. That is one of the best intros I've ever had. And I've got to say, our listeners are awesome and beautiful. And Sean, it's an honor being on you. Let me start again. I've got some coffee right here. I'm going to have some coffee. It's nighttime. It's an honor being on your show with these incredible winners across the world. And thank you.
Thank you so much. And why don't you tell the listeners what you do?
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, so my awesome wife and I, Lassie, we help people become master persuaders and influencers. So we're all about people becoming leaders in whatever they do. So instead of them chasing business, business comes to them.
That is absolutely amazing. And could you share with us why you do what you do?
Well, I think the big why is that I've always loved helping people. I've always, regardless of wherever I've been in life, be it when I was in the military or, civilian life, I've always coached and mentored people. Like wherever I'd go, I'd always get promoted and I'd always be looking after trainees or I'd be looking after staff. So even when I worked at Woolworths, like when I was a kid, a supermarket, even though they didn't pay me any extra, they gave me new people to train. So I'd always be the coach and mentor. It's always been a bent for me. And eventually started my business. And over time, I moved more from business coaching into influence and persuasion type of coaching and education.
That sounds very interesting how you're then able to just like realize your gifts from such a young age and then able to use them down different avenues.
It did take me a long time though, Sean. It took me a long time though to work out how to monetize it and turn it into a business. So, I know there's no such thing as no regret, but my biggest regret in life is I wish I did this earlier. That's my constant complaint. It's like, I wish I did this earlier, but that's just the way it goes.
I think that when you then, like how you said, how like coaching was just always like a way of life for you, when this often seems so easy to you, you then struggle to actually charge people to do it because you find it like so easy.
Yeah, well, I suppose what it is that I suppose it depends how you grew up. I grew up with a very employee mindset, like very much go to uni, get a job type of thinking, right? And there's anything wrong with that. But when you're brought up to be just a pure employee, starting a business is completely scary.
So, Edward, why don't you share with us why you do what you do?
Well, lovely, great question. Awesome, Sean. One of the big reasons why I love doing what I'm doing is that without knowing what coaching was, in my whole life, I'd always be coaching, mentoring, and educating people. Right from my military days to even when I was a kid working in a supermarket, right to my corporate days. And that sort of drew me into coaching people. And over time, I sort of went from business coaching to marketing right into persuasion, influence coaching. It's been very awesome.
That is absolutely amazing. And what would you say has been the biggest influence on you that you wish you had known sooner?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest influences on me was really seeing a lot of people go out on their own and become massively successful. And I'd always feel that, being an employee wasn't for me. And without, going off on a tangent too much, but I ended up in my sort of late 20s, early 30s, I got really sick from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder from a military injury. And a lot of that made it hard for me to sort of work in the normal workplace. So for me, there are a lot of influences that all drove me into one direction, and started sort of coaching on my own in my early 30s, and it certainly had its ups and downs, but it's been a awesome life journey.
That is absolutely amazing. I think that having those hardships and just having those troubling times, it then makes you appreciate where you have come to today even more.
And also as well, it also makes you a savvier business person, because whenever you have a hard time in your business, you can always look back on it and say, well, if I did this, I wouldn't be in my hard time right now. And yeah, I've had many highs and lows in my business life. And the thing is that every low makes you more of an expert. It makes you smarter so you can become more effective and powerful. And it's what I teach everyone. A lot of my influence and mastery lessons come from my wins and my losses, the way it goes.
And I think that just like have it like expressing and sharing your losses then helps others to not do the same, really.
Well, exactly. So if I'm working, if I have a client or I'm running a webinar or something, I'm sort of like, whatever you do, don't do this. I don't, they're hiring me obviously for me to help them win, but they're also hiring me to say, look, there's a minefield over there. Maybe don't walk that way. Maybe walk around this way.
Totally. I definitely agree. And how do you prefer to influence others to change where they live their lives for the better?
Well, I always like to lead by example. So whenever I suggest something or recommend something, I don't just sit there and make something up because I read it on the internet. So I don't download all these ebooks and go, there's a tip, I'll recommend that to my clients. Everything I recommend, I'm doing myself. So I'm doing this and it's working, therefore you should do it. So a lot of people say to me, Ed, your advice is so awesome and it works. Yeah, because it's working on me. So it's like all things. It's like that old Microsoft saying, you need to eat your own dog food, or perhaps better expressed, you need to drink and enjoy your own champagne.
I totally agree. Because then once you're then doing the same thing that you're then encouraging others to do, not only are they like, should they have the same results or even similar, but then they also are able to walk that journey along with you. So whatever problems they may be facing, you may have faced it even sooner, and then you're able to help and guide them.
Exactly. And to me, that's very important. You're sharing the journey with your clients. You're telling them what's going on. And at the end of the day, you're helping them win faster, and you're getting them to where they want to go in as little space of time as possible.
Yeah, totally. I definitely agree with that. And what would you say people should do to stay motivated during moments of crisis?
Yeah, it's a very interesting one with lots of layers. But my top 3 tips that I want to give to the incredible learners, my top 3 tips is definitely faith is very important. In other words, whatever, I'm personally a Christian and I think Jesus is awesome. Whatever God you believe in, I'm absolutely respectful of that. So definitely being a person of faith. Okay. So if you believe in, if you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Hindu, whatever you're into, or Buddhist, go in that direction. If you're not into anything, if you're into the universe and playing with your crystals, then believe in your crystals. Do what it takes to psychologically keep you in faith. Secondly, you got to toughen up. And thirdly, you got to keep at it.
Definitely. It's about having them consistent steps in the right direction, which not only help just manifest results over time, but then it also helps you just learn a whole load of things while being on the journey.
Yeah. And also, I will say faith again. No one likes talking about faith, but I will, right? I always talk about stuff that no one else will talk about. But faith is an important thing. Like, some of the most incredibly successful people I know are people of faith. And again, as much as I love Jesus, I'm not carrying water for Jesus. I have very successful Hindu clients, Islamic clients. My top clients are the people of faith, whatever faith that is.
That's very, very interesting. I definitely understand why. What is your passion?
Yeah, my passion is helping people, succeeding. I like drinking coffee. I love playing video games, but I got 2 small kids and a business to run, so I've not touched video games in forever. And also, I'm passionate about LinkedIn. Actually, LinkedIn has become my video game. So I used to play a lot of on my phone. I always used to play a lot of mobile video games. Now, in a way, LinkedIn's my mobile video game. I'm always on LinkedIn, so it's great. So the old mobile games are just incredible. My mobile game is, of course, LinkedIn.
That's absolutely amazing. And if you then had a megaphone and you could say one thing to the world that would have a lasting influence, what would it be and why?
I would say be a person of faith and take consistent action.
Could you then share if you listen to why or even how you came across that?
Yeah, well, what was interesting is that, I realized even before, I sort of became a Christian in my mid-20s. So, and I wasn't born a Christian, I became a Christian over time. And what I noticed when I wasn't a Christian was that all the really successful people, they were all people of faith, right? If I thought of all the top earners, if I thought of someone who had a cool life, and I wanted that, they were all people of faith. And I started asking questions, and I saw it over and over again. Again, whatever religion, I'm talking about all religions, the people who are the most into their faith, they're all the successful ones. And all the people who are scratching their heads like me, not believing anything, we're all the losers on the bottom. And I realized something going on here, right? And it was funny. And when I sort of went down the Christian path, I could really see quickly why that was the case, why that happens. Like on a functional level, when I first started going to church, I used to have no friends, and all of a sudden I had heaps of friends. There you go. I went from a weirdo on the fringes of society to having all these friends. So case in point, it helped me build my network. So for spiritual and functional reasons, I started to figure out really quickly, this is the racket. This is how it goes. I get it.
That's absolutely amazing. Definitely. What advice would you give to those who they may have their very own £1 million idea at a time like this?
Oh, can you say that again, please? I missed a part. Please say again.
What advice would you give to those who have had their very own £1 million idea at a time like this?
Yeah, it's what I'd say to people with their own £1 million or $1 million, but pounds are the most valuable currency in the world, so stick with pounds. My advice to you is if you've got a £1 million idea, start thinking about it. Don't put it in the back of your mind. Put it in the front of your mind. Start working on it. Write up a business plan. Start talking about it. Start fleshing it out. And start taking daily steps every day to make it reality. Now, I'm not telling you to go to your job and, give them the finger and spray paint stuff on the wall and, set fire to a car outside. I'm not saying that, right? What I'm saying is work on your business idea, be it you're employed or you've got a business, and keep bringing it to life. And that's the way I tend to operate. Every day I like to get a little bit closer in my own personal business journey of success.
That's really interesting. I totally agree with that. It's about then just like using time to your advantage and just constantly working and trying to perfect your work, really.
Yeah, and I'll say this again. I'm not the only one to say this. Is that it's all about daily action. And this is what I say to people. I'll have days where I'll think I feel like I haven't achieved anything. Like it's just literally, I'm just a mouse in a wheel all day. And I have some days where I'm just kicking butt. It's going to happen. You're going to have some days where you're just doing dumb stuff all day. And you're going to have days where you absolutely kick butt, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. The idea is every day, be it you take a big step or just a little step, you keep taking those steps gradually to your goal and objective.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. What would you say has been like the biggest issue or even a problem that you're aiming to solve as an influencer in your own industry?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems is people really don't know what to do. They're sort of like, look, I want to be successful. I want to take off on my business. I've got a few clients here and there, but it's not working out. It's not creating the living I want. And the biggest way that I've helped my wife and I, bring Lassie in the conversation, the way that we've really helped people is by demonstrating how it's done. So the reason why a lot of people like me and what I do is because I'm actively walking the talk. And again, I'll never ask anyone to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. And people can visibly see how I'm doing it. It's not like Ed's got the secret little sauce. No, it's pretty obvious what I'm doing. If you just follow me on LinkedIn for a few days, you know exactly how I'm doing it.
I think just being like so transparent, it just not only makes people more eager to then work with you, but it also just shows them how simple and effective what you teach is, really.
Yeah, it's demonstrable, and that's very important. You actually demonstrate what you're doing, because we're a lot of, and again, it's not aimed at anyone listening. Absolutely, we have nothing but awesome winners, but I'm sure everyone's had that coach where, the coach will say, well, I can make you really successful. And you know where I'm going here. And it's sort of like, hey, sign this contract and put all this money in my bank account, and then I'll tell you the secrets on how to succeed. Then if you get suckered into that, you end up getting absolutely shafted, right? Yeah, I'm the direct opposite. It's sort of like, well, this is how you're going to succeed. I'm doing it. And if you work with me, I'll help you get there faster. If you don't want to work with me, awesome. But it's all out in the open. It's right there.
That is so true. And I think that's one thing that just like the whole personal development arena is starting to awaken to, because when everyone like goes to events, they'd constantly be consulting, they'd give a little bit of information, but not enough for you to then take actionable steps. And then they say, oh, sign up here, run to the back and things like that. But finally, we're then starting to see a change.
Yeah, and that racket's not lasting forever. So what you're seeing now is that racket's coming to an end. So for years, the coaching industry was put X thousands of dollars in my bank account and I'll give you the secrets. And the secrets aren't really secrets. They're just dumb. That racket, though, is really coming to an end because, and it's thanks to the internet, because people are talking. They know what's going on. People asking, even of me, it's like when people sign up, people don't just hand over their money. They ask me hard questions. But I can demonstrate. I don't just say, well, trust me, I'm Edward. I'm like, well, check this out. I've done this. You know, it's sort of like, you know, I'm kicking butt. And it's sort of like, Ed, you're a liar. Okay, well, then how am I doing this over here then? You know, so it's all about results. So you can actively demonstrate to people you know what you're doing.
I definitely agree. And what would you say has been like the so-called pivotal point along your journey, and what did it teach you?
Oh, there's been many pivotal points. One of the biggest ones actually was Corona, and you know, I'll use Corona as an example. The Corona experience, I was already becoming quite the online guy, but what the Corona experience taught me was that I wish I did more online earlier. And I'm not the only one saying that, of course. So even though I was going well online, as Corona comes to its end, right, which it is now, thank God, I wish I did more heavy online earlier. And that's been my lesson. And now I've learnt my lesson. So these days I'm a heavy online guy. I'm not missing a beat.
And that is absolutely amazing. I think that all of us just wish that we were online sooner, really, because being online, you're then able to reach out to a wider audience.
Yeah, but what I think is tragically going to happen, though, because Corona's coming to its end, the world is reopening, I think the smart ones are going to remember the lessons, and the dumb ones, are going to go back into their old lives and then pretend none of this happened. And you're really just a chicken waiting to get plucked again.
Yeah, definitely.
So the thing I got from this Corona experience is I'm not forgetting albeit I was already quite successful online beforehand, but if I wasn't, I would have actually lost my business. So we started going online about 2 years ago. If I didn't do that 2 years ago, we'd be out of business now. We'd be gone. So I was very lucky I did that 2 years earlier. Very lucky.
I definitely agree with that. It's about just like having things in place. So regardless of like whatever the next pandemic is going to be or anything like that, you're then in a place of security because you know that you're in like as many different areas as possible.
Exactly. Multiple streams of income. And I do say, though, even though I'm going quite well online, I wish I got into it earlier. But it's easy to say, I wish I did this. I wish I did that. I wish. At the end of the day, things happen when they happen. You just got to make the most of it.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. And what would you say are like the top 3 lessons that you've learned along your life journey? And then how did they influence where you look at life?
Yeah, so I suppose sort of extending on from what I was earlier, be a person of faith, you know, whatever you believe in, go deep in that direction. I think secondly as well is don't listen to what you hear, really think independently and critically. And I think the third point is as well is carve out your own way and don't worry about people trying to stop you because, you know, I'm sure you know this, Trey Sean, the moment you get up and say, I want to become an entrepreneur, a lot of people just try and stop you.
Yeah.
They do whatever they can to stop you and disrupt you, be it for pure motives or good motives. I don't care. The point is they're a barrier to one's success. And I've got a problem with those people. Big problem with them.
I think that one thing that I've like learned over time is it's not about blocking those people out of your life, because if you're then blocking someone, then you're constantly on the look like, are they here and things like that. It's about then learning how to cope and how to manage those people and just how to use your time more effectively. Let's say that you have to be around them all of a sudden.
If I can disagree with you on that point, if I can, you know, politely disagree, I'm not sure about that because what happens is, and I'll use LinkedIn as an example. I'll use a trolling example. If you become an influencer on LinkedIn, if you don't block trolls, you're going to have a very messy account in a few months. And if you let people troll you on LinkedIn, you're going to have horrible comments that scare off potential customers that will hold back your success. And on a personal level too, if you're surrounded by a bunch of friends that are non-stop hitting you with their negativity, it's really going to stop you from succeeding, where there comes a point where you got to cut people loose. It's sort of like, look, I'm done with you. For example, one of my old friends and clients, he wasn't putting stuff on Facebook. This is before LinkedIn sort of took off. He wasn't putting up videos on Facebook. And I was sort of like, why aren't you putting up videos on Facebook? Oh, because I'm connected to all these friends. And the guy's in his late 20s. All these friends on high school I'm connected to, I'm worried about what they're going to say. And so think about this guy's in his late 20s and he's worried about what dimwits from his high school are going to say about him. And I said, you got to block him. And he did. And then he felt good after that. So I don't know. I think you need to actively keep those people out of your life to keep you mentally primed. And you got to surround yourself with the right people, which also means getting rid of the bad people that want you to fail.
No, I definitely agree. It's about just having that, like, that inner circle of people who are constantly pushing you to achieve more and who are just positive, because then it also motivates you to then bounce off each other, like new ideas and come up with new things and maybe even partnership together.
Yeah, and also too, the blade also cuts your way too. You got to make sure that you're not the problem as well. You know, so it's very easy for me to sit there and go, "You suck, and you're terrible." But how's my conduct? Am I the villain in someone else's hero journey? So you got to kind of think of it from that point of view. You got to think, hey, am I walking the talk before I start projecting that expectation there on everyone?
Totally. I think one quote that actually comes to mind when we actually spoke about this was, whatever you resist will only persist. So it's about just becoming aware of the things that you allow to, that you then tolerate to take place in your life.
Yeah, and that actually makes my argument, because, what you resist persists. I agree with you. If you block all those troublemakers out of your life, you don't have to resist them anymore. Yeah, so that quote you said actually justifies my argument of blocking those people.
And if you had to be, like, let's say, another person for one day, who would it be and why?
Well, I'm definitely, I reckon it'd be interesting being Donald Trump for a day. That would be interesting. So be Donald Trump for a day and just deal with the stuff that he deals with. That would be funny, interesting.
I totally understand. What would you say are, like, your views on the word legacy, and what legacy would you like to leave?
Yeah, I think the legacy is, so I'm a family guy, got children. So I think family-wise, I want to leave really well-adjusted children who'll have great descendants. And also as well, I want to leave behind a really massive group of people I've impacted personally, which helps change the world.
I think that's just really powerful, then, having, like, an impact that is long lasting, because, like, long after we're gone, people then are able to remember the things that we have taught them or just how we made them feel, and then they're able to pay it forward to others.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, and as we all know, as a guy who's, almost died many times, life is very short. It's, we're not going to be here forever. So you got to do what you can on the world while you're here. So I like to do as much good while I'm here as possible. So be it, I've got a great family legacy, plus I got a great community legacy as well.
I definitely agree with that. And what advice would you then give to your younger self?
Yeah, if I went back in time, I got asked this the other day. It's a good one. So if I went back in time, I would go to myself when I was about in my mid-20s, right? And I would persuade myself to stop caring about what others think of me. That's what I persuade myself on, because these days, as you can tell, I really don't care what other people think of me. It's pretty obvious in my attitude. I haven't always been like that. I used to be very much the opposite of that. And I would definitely go back in time and sort of grab myself and say, Ed, stop being, stop worrying what this, people are going to hate you. It's awesome. Tell them to F off. Ed, focus on your own life journey. And if I could persuade my younger self of that, I would have taken 5-10 years off my journey, because when you are driven by external approval, that becomes a prison, which really, screws up your life and stunts your growth.
And I think just like having that, like, let's say that you are lacking self-confidence or just lacking motivation, having that person and that like in a circle around you just to support you can not only help you to achieve more and get your days more productive, but it also just allows you to just have more confidence, really.
Yeah, and just adding on that, I couldn't agree with you more, Trey. Sean, it's a great point. You also need that confidence in your own self as well. You also need to really believe in yourself. So you need a mixture of internal motivation plus the external support. And I suppose my problem is that I was very much driven by external approval, which is a recipe for disaster. And if I went back in time, it's sort of like, no, Ed, who cares? Screw them. Tell them to piss off. You know, you're British. I can say, piss off, go away. I wish I would do that more. But you learn. So I always say to my clients, I have clients who are older than me who are driven by external motivation. I'm like, you got to stop this. You're going to be a mouse in the wheel forever if you're driven by what other losers think of you.
Totally. It's about then just like becoming content with yourself, because then when you know your why and your purpose, you don't have to seek approval from others.
Yeah, and you got to be comfortable with the idea of people hating you. You know, because like people hate you, they want you to fail, they don't like you. You got to be okay with that, because as you said, what you resist, you persist. I couldn't agree with that statement more, because if you're constantly at the emotional effect of people hating you, you're going to be caught up in that cycle. Whereas when you just don't care, it's like, whatever, delete, you know, LinkedIn, for example, delete and block. Yeah, I'm done with you. It sets you up to win big and win so much more.
Yeah. What are your views on morning routines, and why? Like, if you think they're useful, why?
Sorry, you're asking about routines, are you?
Yeah. So,
yeah. Routines are very important. Routines are the foundation for success. You know. So you have your process, you have what you do. Success comes from routines. If you look at, I use Michael Jordan as a classic example. I'm an old guy. I'm a man of the 90s. Love Michael Jordan, great guy. He's getting old now, so bear with me. I'm an old guy. But Michael Jordan, I remember one of the biggest stories about Michael Jordan that impacted me. He would just stand at the 1 point line and just take shots over and over again. Boring, and he'd do it for hours. He'd just sit there, take shots. Boring, but he'd do it for hours and hours, because that repetition, that means you could get him drunk and hit him over the head with a chair, and he'll set a 1 pointer.
Yeah, it's about just.
So routine is very important, because routine's sort of the basis of success.
Definitely, it's about then having them habits that then support you, because then no matter what, like hardships or just like anything that might be occurring at the time, you then know that this, I have practiced this, I know how to do it, and then you're then perceived as an expert in that field.
Yeah, and by the way, you might have to change your routines. You might have some routines which aren't serving you. So I'm not saying that you become a slave to your routines. I don't mean that at all. What I mean is routines are a sense of structure. You might have to change your routines, but you need a good routine and sense of structure, because that enables the success that you want. And again, Michael Jordan, apparently he'd just be there for 2 hours from the 1 pointer line, just going over again. That's what makes you good.
Lastly, could you share with the listeners where they can find you if they'd like to find out about any upcoming things you may have?
Oh, Trey, Sean, it's a pleasure. Yeah, they can follow me and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook as well, but a lesser amount. So probably LinkedIn's the easiest way to find me and check me out.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming on the Impact Show today.
Trey, Sean, it's a pleasure. Thank you for putting this time. I got to say, I wish when I was a young man like you, I was doing interviews as well. So all I can say is power to you, Trey, Sean. You are one great guy.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And also, thank you to you listeners for tuning in today. And if you guys like to have the chance to be featured on the show, feel free to email the email that should be put up on the screen. And I hope you guys have a great day. That's it from me. Bye.